Hello everyone. So I have some interesting news here which was shared by Reuters news website. So there's a snippet from a news report about 3 tankers at least that have been damaged by blasts in the Mediterranean in the last month by unknown causes. Notably, in the centre it says one explosion caused a 1 metre inward breach below the waterline on a Greek-operated crude tanker, the SeaJewel, whilst at port in northern Italy, with a second blast occurring 20 minutes later on the same vessel. The article goes on to say another vessel, the tanker SeaCharm, was damaged by a blast off the Turkish port of Ceyhan in late January. And the third incident, the Liberian-flagged chemical tanker Grace Ferrum, was damaged off of Libya in February as well. So these are recent incidences. Near the bottom, something interesting. All 3 vessels had recently called at Russian ports according to ship tracking websites. So 4 blasts have hit 3 Russian-linked vessels through January to February. And you may also remember that the Ursa Major, a Russian cargo vessel, sunk off of Spain after an unknown explosion. It's mentioned at the bottom of the article here. So including December as well. That's 4 Russian-linked vessels which have been hit in 3 months. Very suspicious. So I thought I'll take a look online and see what else I can find out about this. And see if we actually can point the finger at Ukraine here. So firstly, I found a bit more context about the SeaJewel here on this Twitter post. This one notably saying that the SeaJewel is alleged to have been part of Russia's shadow fleet, so it gives Ukraine a motive, and that the incident occurred in the port of Savona on February the 15th. Genoa authorities investigating a shipwreck with terrorist intent. So after finding this, I had a look into the SeaCharm. I couldn't find much more context about the SeaCharm at all, but I found a photo of it. But there is an interesting little snippet from a different article. So, one of the sources said it was likely the SeaJewel and SeaCharm were hit by something external. This wasn't mentioned in the Reuters article. So it was an external strike, something outside of a ship caused the damage. So that I think can rule out a internal accident or even internal sabotage. This looks like something actually targeted the vessel itself. But what? I will get to that later. We then found another article about these attacks, a fairly lengthy one which gives some more context and more information. I'll just read the key bits of this one as it is quite long. So here we get the actual size of the damage. A 28 by 47-inch hole was found in the hull of the tanker. So that's a pretty sizable hole. This is the tanker SeaJewel, by the way. Further down, it says both the SeaCharm and the SeaJewel had called at Novorossiysk and transported Russian oil in the past. But they hadn't carried Russian oil this year when they were hit. The Grace Ferrum, the one which was hit off the coast of Libya, had docked at Ust Luga in the Baltic region, Ust Luga being a major Russian port. So all 3 vessels certainly linked to Russia's shadow fleet and had been involved in transporting Russian oil in the past, even if at the moment they might not have been carrying sanctioned oil. Now here's something quite interesting about the Grace Ferrum. So remember, that one docked at Ust Luga, that's the same port where a tanker called the Koala was attacked in February, causing an explosion. I'll get to that in just a moment, as that slipped under my radar. Down at the bottom, finally, the article mentioned that there are allegations of Russian cargo ship Ursa Major, the one which sank off Spain in December, was attacked as well, which caused it to sink. Now, at the time, it was speculated that that was just an accident on the tanker, but it suffered some sort of internal issue and then sank. There was nothing really to indicate an attack on it by Ukraine. Well, this article is suggesting it was attacked and it did sink because of the attack, and Russia has basically tried to cover it up. Finally, it mentions briefly a fire occurring on board a ship being used as part of a Syrian evacuation. I covered that in a video a few weeks ago, and to me, the fire seemed internal. That one did seem like an accidental fire. I don't think there was any indication there that that one was an attack. So I'm not going to include that one on the tally of targets here. That one as well was an intelligence ship, not a oil tanker. So Inspector Sukramimis is going to decide that that one was unrelated. But certainly, we have 3 tankers confirmed being attacked by something in the articles today. And then also the Ursa Major, which sank off the coast of Spain, and the Koala being attacked at Ust Luga. and that certainly was an attack, which we'll get to now. So here's a report on the Koala. It suffered 3 blasts whilst at port and was likely to have been targeted by Limpet Mines. Probably not the only one to suffer damage, it says. Other vessels with a similar trading profile, aka parts of Russia's shadow fleet, have also been caused damage by explosions recently. This is reported by Ambre Intelligence. Now, this could be referring to some other incidents that we know about, as the Koala was attacked on February the 9th. So, Ambre Intelligence mentioning other incidents may have been referring to, say, the Ursa Major, which hit in December, and the SeaCharm and SeaJewel, which happened in January. Or it may be entirely new incidents which we don't know of yet and which Russia is keeping quiet about. But 5 tankers in 5 different locations. This has to be the long arm of Budanov reaching out to give Russia a bonk on the noggin. It's too many here to be coincidence, and too widespread to be carried out by a different party. If they're all off the coast of Libya or Syria, for example, you could argue that it was Libyan and Syrian insurgents with a grudge against Russia targeting these. But it's not. These ships are targeted here, there, and everywhere, a wide variety of places. It can only be Ukraine targeting Russia's shadow fleet, which is pretty impressive. Also interesting is the fact that Russia is keeping quiet about this. Now, you would expect them to loudly condemn Ukraine and blame Ukraine for it, and try to make out Ukraine is carrying out terrorist operations of the like by targeting tankers. But they've kept quiet and covered it up, which makes me think they're both concerned about these attacks and embarrassed by them. I mean, think about it. Ukraine, a nation without a navy, has managed to hit 5 Russian oil tankers in 3 months, which aren't even in the Black Sea and the Sea of Azov. That's hugely embarrassing for Russia. And I doubt Russia wants the world to know how vulnerable its tanker fleet and its shadow tanker fleet actually are. So, how was this done? That's the big question here. I don't think this is marine drones. The Koala in Ust Luga is confirmed by reports in intelligence companies to be done by Limpet Mines, which is a remarkable operation given Ust Luga's location in the Baltic. The others, bar the Ursa Major off the coast of Spain, all occurred whilst in or near port. So I think we may be looking at the use of frogmen here, either disembarking from land with mines to place on the Russian ships whilst they are at port. So Ukrainian intelligence identifies vessels used by Russia's shadow fleet, gives the order to hit them when possible. Ukrainian operatives in these ports carry out the attack from land, diving under the water, attaching limpet mines to them, and then getting out of there. We also can't rule out Ukrainian-friendly tankers and Ukrainian-controlled tankers and cargo vessels, which have Ukrainian operatives on who do the same sort of thing. So if a Russian shadow fleet tanker docks in the same port, they disembark, plant a limpet mine on it, get back on the vessel. It's certainly a possibility as well. The one question mark of a one different one is the Ursa Major, which was at sea at the time. Maybe it was a delayed charge on that one, or something else was used. Ukraine's very crafty, so we can't rule out them having another type of arrow in their quiver in order to hit these tankers in the Mediterranean. Now, after Assad fell, I did speculate whether Ukraine would be able to target Russian transport vessels and the like operating in the Mediterranean. I was uncertain. Ukraine appears to have proved that they are capable of doing it. 5 tankers in 3 months, certainly impressive, one of which, of course, sank to the bottom. I'd love this to be Ukrainian marine drones somehow smuggled into the Mediterranean, but I just can't see that being the case. I'm gonna toss my hat in the ring here, but this is frogmen using limpet mines being the most likely scenario here for Ukraine to hit these. And I do think it's a Ukrainian GUR operation. I can't see it being anything else, with the widespread locations and the fact that Russia is keeping quiet about it and the damage being caused externally. And if so, it is a truly epic operation, meaning a nation without a navy is defeating Russia not only in the Black Sea, but in the Mediterranean and the Baltic now too. And Russia is completely unable to protect its shipping. So that's it for this video. Hope you found it interesting. Now I'm going to play a video from the Ukraine Volunteer Centre about the ongoing fundraiser. Thanks so much and take care everybody.
Attention, urgent fundraising. We are an international volunteer foundation created by soldiers. We know that in war every second decides whether to live or die. Today, we are raising funds for 2 minibuses for Ukrainian paramedics. Without this vehicle, paramedics will not be able to save the wounded. Under constant shelling on the front line, paramedics are pulling fighters from death. But without transportation, they can't make it. Every second is a life. Now we can help them work faster, save more, bring defenders home alive. We need your support. Fundraising target is $22,000. Donate, tell your friends, share this video. Every contribution you make is someone's saved life. Together to victory.